And you've been working in horticulture now for a number of years, so really interested to hear your perspective on climate breakdown and the kind of things that the good things that can come from our response to that emergency, and also other aspects. So, how do you feel about these things?
Sure. Well, as you say, I've been working for a number of years in the sort of organic, small-scale food production sector, mostly working in market gardens and various social enterprises like community-supported agriculture groups. And really for that whole time, for the past sort of 4 or 5 years, more or less since becoming engaged with permaculture, which is seen as a much wider kind of approach to the kind of times and the challenges we're facing, not just in terms of how we produce our own food and provide their own clean and safe water, but also how we kind of mobilise and engage with the sort of systems that are present. And yeah, really since then I've believed quite strongly that Bill Mollison's kind of idea of really there's not very much that can't be done, that doesn't start in the garden. That's really where the revolution kind of begins, and having some kind of food security and food sovereignty is really, really important. I've found that actually, as you delve into the whole process and the wider picture, that actually we seem to be looking at all these kind of different atomized kind of problems, when actually they're all kind of this one systemic problem, and that's really, I think, where it becomes difficult to then justify just doing something in the garden, and I feel strongly that I need to participate a lot more, which is why I've kind of been drawn to the XR movement, I would say, and why I'm sort of now trying to engage with more really proactive forms of kind of sort of civil responsibility, really, and trying to challenge some of these systemic problems. So it's a big, complex issue, and I see it really being important that we tackle it as this kind of wide issue rather than these individual issues, because I don't really think we will actually ever achieve much in that respect. In terms of looking forward and something positive, I think a green revolution of the third revolution is certainly on its way, and basically a large-scale refitting of kind of the systems that are already in place. I mean, a lot of people talk about the concerns with the way technology might be kind of outstripping jobs, and how AI is going to be this huge problematic thing. Well, actually, we need a huge workforce of people who currently are quite a large populace of the people to be involved in and engaged in these really kind of physical activities of retrofitting and providing this like green infrastructure in order for it to move forward on a much wider societal sort of scale.
So would you see basic income as something that would help with that?
I think that's absolutely essential. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And generally, when you look at the studies with basic income, it seems to people's productivity tends to increase because they have more time, they have more availability to really consider the things that are important to them, and that means they engage with other sort of social sort of enterprises a lot more, So I think that's really important, absolutely.
And coming out of that, I mean, you mentioned before the positive aspects of climate breakdown. Coming out of that revolution that you just mentioned, how do you see, what kind of a society will we be?
That's the tricky one, isn't it? I think it's I feel as though it's very difficult to say that there will be kind of one type of society that will exist everywhere. I think there will be variations of kind of a certain ideal that a lot of us are aspiring towards. Certainly one that is fundamentally cooperative over competitive more than anything else. If I had to surmise it, I would say that.
Yeah.